It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Dr. Alma Vilensky. Your maiden name was Pastenak. We're here in Ramat Gan, a beautiful home. And Alma, you were born in Vienna. What year were you born?
What do you say?
When were you born?
I was in 1932, January 1932.
And where in Austria?
In Vienna.
In Vienna. And you actually you saw Hitler?
Of course, face to face, in the distance of 1.5 meters. He was making a neum, how you say neum?
Speech.
A speech. He was making speech in the park, in the national park of Vienna, under the statue of Strauss with a violin.
And can I ask, your family, were there many generations in Austria?
No. Actually, my parents are from Poland. But my father situated himself in Vienna. He went from Poland in order to escape militarization, because the Polish government, after the First World, mobilized all the people, and he didn't want to serve in the army.
And your mother?
My mother, at this time, I was also Polish, but she knew fluent Germany, because between the age of 6 and 12, she was in Germany in an internat. In internat.
She was a border, you know.
A border school.
A boarding school.
A Jewish border school. So she knew fluent German. You can help me, yes.
If I can.
Yeah.
And did you have siblings?
Yes, a sister, an older sister who died tragic days. Yes. She was born with the intestines turning around themselves, and they couldn't cure it at birth. And later on, when she started to vomit blood, at the age of 6, they operated her, and she died on the operation. Yes.
And what do you remember about growing up in Austria?
Everything I remember. As a matter of fact, the main point was that in October 1937, my uncle from Israel came very, very scared. He said that my father must leave immediately Austria, because Hitler can enter Austria. No, take a chair. Take a chair.
That's wrong.
No. He has to leave because, and he was a rich fellow, and he will confiscate all his things, and he will be arrested and so on. So and my father, the millionaire, arrived in Israel without a penny, because a year before he built a very expensive house. I don't know why. Nowadays it sounds very crazy for me. But an architect persuaded him. So the millionaire, without a penny and a high hypotheque, arrived Israel without a penny.
And can I ask, do you remember the street you stayed in Vienna, in the home?
I remember everything.
Which street were you in?
I don't remember the name.
Or the district?
But it was the 7th district, and it was near a Catholic church.
And the school you went to?
I didn't went to school. I didn't even went to kindergarten. They were anti-Semite already at this time. They were very anti-Semite. When my parents put me to a kindergarten at the age of 4, they drove me away because I started to cut the hair. Somebody drove me away, so I stayed at home. They were very anti-Semitic. They were very...
Even before the...
Very, very anti-Semitic they were.
Was this
the
even...
Viennese were very, very anti-Semitic.
This was even before the Anschluss?
Of course, much before the Anschluss. They greeted Hitler like he was their savior.
It's true. When he
No,
came,
I will tell you and the main point is the continuation of all this, because my mother had to visit the Gestapo every day for 6 days a week. And the first time when I was accompanying, next time you bring the child both in prison. And she didn't tell me anything what they did with her. And I had to stay at home all alone all the day. And from time to time, there was a ringing of the bell, and knocking. We are breaking in, open. And I had to do as nobody was there. This was what it was, yes. I can remember it like it was today. Yes.
and your father, where was he?
I told you, he left with my uncle.
But what year did he leave?
What do you say?
When did he leave?
In end of September, in October, 1937.
So it was very difficult for your mother to be...
Because, you know why we couldn't join him? Because the certificate, the English produced then the white book.
The white paper.
The white book it was called, yes, white book. Sefer Laban, the white book, it was called. And there were restrictions, and we had to pay a lot in order to enter the country. And my father, the millionaire, was without a penny, and his brother paid for him. And there was no money for us. So I was left with my mother. And this continued, the interesting point, this continued 4.5 months, this situation. And somebody advised my mother, she should, in the summer of July, she should ask for a vacation. And they allowed her the vacation to Berlin for 2 weeks. But in her passport, the Polish passport, was a notice she's not allowed to leave this surrounding. And when we entered Berlin in July 1938, nobody noticed us. We went to the Berber, we went into the restaurants. Nobody, we were interested, nobody. Did you know at this time, Berlin was an international city, and all the homos and the transgenders, all these settled themselves in Berlin. There is a very famous film, The Cabaret. It describes exactly this time. An English fellow and a homo, and a gay fellow, an English gay fellow, describes this situation. He went to Berlin. Berlin was an international, and the homos had a very important role as entertainer. They were the main entertainer in Berlin.
And you remember the trip to Berlin? You remember it?
Of course, I remember everything of this. It's as if it was yesterday.
Did you see the Hitler Youth marching, or did you see...
No, nobody marched in Berlin. Berlin didn't join Hitler until this fellow in Paris shoot this ambassador. This is the truth. Until then, Berlin and also Hamburg didn't join Hitler. They were Protestant, and they didn't believe in Hitler at all. They joined him only after this Jewish fellow killed the embassy in Paris. Only after this. The Kristallnacht was because of this.
And do you remember the Kristallnacht?
I haven't been there anymore. Because when we came to Berlin, my mother a week later tried to embark a train to Poland in the middle of the night, and we succeeded.
And you went to Poland?
Yes, and there it was very difficult to be accepted. We had to sign that we remain only a half a year, because it was written, we come from a foe land. The Polish already considered before the war the Germans as a foe, even before the war.
Enemy.
Enemy.
Yes.
And how long did you stay in Poland?
For a whole year. My mother had to recover for all what she passed. And she didn't, actually she didn't want to go to Palestine because it was a very hot country and a very difficult country. And there she had a very convenient life. A whole year we stayed there.
Where in Poland? In which city?
In which city? No, in a small city. Tomaszow Mazowiecki. It was a small but in industrial city. A lot of industry was there. And when when she woke up, there were a lot, all the qualified workers were of German origin. And in spite of the fact that they spoke fluent Polish, the Polish knew exactly who were Germans. And then they started to beat to break the glasses in their home. And that was, how you call it, the רוחות. איך אומרים רוחות באנגלית?
סליחה?
רוחות, איך אומרים?
Spirits.
The spirit.
No, רוחות, רוח.
Oh, wind.
The wind, it was, it sounded like a war wind. My mother understood that it's a war wind, it's going to be a war. So we passed through Romania. It was very dangerous. We couldn't get off the train at all the many stations because the Romans, they were with Hitler, you know, at this time, and they couldn't they couldn't hand their own Jews, but they could hand those who come down from the train, and they waited for the Jews to come down. So we were without water, yes, for many hours. I don't remember how long we went. I think at least 12 hours and not more, until we arrived in Constanza. This is a port in Romania.
And from there, you stayed. Did you stay in Constanza?
We stayed, I think, only 1 or 2 days, and then we. This is another story. I have enough. I think I have enough.
And then you came to Eretz Israel?
No, it is very interesting. Not so quickly, because it was actually a transport ship.
Cargo ship.
A cargo ship. It was a cargo ship. And it stayed at every port for days. Like, we had the impression it was a cruise. We got off in Constantinople, and I remember it when I woke up in the morning. I said, "Why?" I told my mother, "Look at this. This is a city of gold, because the sun shone on the golden roofs. The golden roofs were of the former inhabitants.
The Ottomans.
They?
Yes.
I forgot how they were called.
The Greeks and the Ottomans.
The Ottomans?
No, not the Ottomans. They were the Ottomans. They were the Romans.
Actually, it was the Orthodox Greeks.
No.
But did you stay in Constantinople? Today it's Istanbul.
I know. We stayed. Yes, we stayed one day because
Only a day.
Because the cargo ship stayed there for 1 day. Yes. How is it called? I forgot. Rome was already destroyed, but they continued to stay until the Turks invaded them. How were they called?
They were the Byzantine,
No.
the Greeks. They were
They
Greeks.
were not the Greeks, they were the Romans.
Wow. And it was just you and your mother?
Yes. But
And were you in touch with your father during this time? Or did you have any contact with your father?
2 years we didn't have any
For 2 years.
Yes.
Can I ask, when you saw Hitler, how was your impression when you saw him, when he was
It was
giving...
very nice. He called up to the stage 2 children, and he carries them, and he talked very sweetly to them.
You remember this?
Of course. He was very nice. This English, how was he called? Chamberlain?
Yeah.
Chamberlain had got the same impression of him. He was very kind and nice. He wasn't shouting.
And in Vienna, when they had the rallies, do you remember marching with the...
I watched with it. The next day, I went down, as usually, to play, and they started to throw stones at me, to beat me, so I couldn't go down anymore. I had to stay for 4.5 months in the flat all the time.
And it was a mazal that you managed to leave.
Yes, it was astonishing that we succeeded to leave. Also, and my father was, I didn't understand my father. He said, why didn't you, at least, we had a flat like a museum, very expensive. Why didn't you want one picture you have? But he could have done all the pictures and he didn't do anything. And he complained about my mother, before my mother, and she could have, and it could have been impossible to leave if they would have detected it. You understand what I said? He had complaints to my mother. Why didn't he do it by himself? At the time it was possible, you see? He had very funny complaints. If I remember it, I can't understand his complaints.
So when did you eventually come and to see your father?
When I actually come, one day before the war broke out. It was in August the war broke out, yes?
September the 1st?
And then at 30 or 31 August we arrived. And then it was also very interesting in the country because a couple of months later, 3 months later, when we enjoyed to bath in the sea, where Hilton is nowadays, at this place, and
in Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv, there were on Yarkon Street, the higher place, was the Red House. It was called the Red House. It was from the Britain, a very important house. And three very small aeroplanes, Italian aeroplanes, wanted to bomb it. It had a flat roof, and all the bombs went into the sea. All the bombs, they didn't succeed. And near me it was also a ball, like a football. It was. I wanted to, no, don't touch it.
And how was, when you met your father again after being separated, how was the reunion with your father?
It was not he had a lot of complaints yet, that I remember. Why we didn't do that, why didn't we that, why didn't we took something. And now he was penniless, you know, in Israel he was penniless.
So you were here right in the beginning of the war. You managed to come to...
Yes.
And where did you stay?
We stayed in the beginning at the uncle place, yes, and later he rented a flat, yes.
And what happened to the remainder of the family, of your parents?
Oh, only my two cousins of my mother and her brother. That is an interesting point because her brother looked like how you say, half a Negro, you say?
Yeah.
Like a colored.
No, it's a name for it. I forget everything for him. I'm very old. He looked like a half a Negro. He was very black. But it turned out that the original Cossacks also are very dark. So he had the papers of a Cossack, and he was very tall, and broad shoulder, very sporty. So they didn't think that he was a Jew. It's impossible. 85 feet tall and so strong can't be a Jew. So he had papers of Ukraine, and he was how you call it? It's not a train in the city, but goes a train.
A tram.
A tram. It was a trampoline. It's false papers. Nobody checked him if he was a Jew. He can't be a Jew. He's tall and so strong and so. He looks like an Ukrainian. It's all right.
It's amazing.
After the war, I actually met very dark Ukrainians. The original Ukrainians are very dark, not like the blonde.
And did you meet any of your family members after the war?
Yes, I met a great grand aunt, the sister of my grandfather. She
survived.
She survived, and she settled in Paris. Yes.
And the rest of the family, did they not survive?
They survived. This uncle, this black uncle, looked like a mulat. He looked exactly like a mulat, and it was very funny. The cousin of my mother laughed about it. People said, "How come that a mulat speaks Polish?" He looked exactly like a mulat.
It's amazing.
Because my great-grandfather was very dark. He had also baby hair, with curls. Looked like a mulat.
And you went to school in
Israel.
in Israel, and
Our financial situation was horrible. My father was very poor, and I had to quit school at the age of 16 and to work.
And how did you study medicine?
Later on, it was much later.
Where did you study?
I began in Jerusalem for 3 years, and later on, I remember Byzant.
Byzantium.
The Byzantium. The Byzantium had wonderful churches with round roofs. And the Turks, when they conquered them, didn't destroy it.
A lot were converted into mosques.
They turned it into
mosques.
Museums or mosques.
Yes, the Byzance.
Well, Byzance was the Greek Orthodox,
Yes, but they were Romans. Because Rome parted into two states, two parts.
Yes,
And the Romans, that one situated in Europe, was destroyed. And this survived already, I think, 1,000 years more or something like this, until the Turks finished them.
And growing up in Israel, did you speak about the Shoah, or did your friends?
Nobody was interested to talk about the Shoah. They didn't like it.
Did your parents speak to you about it?
My mother, only in Israel, actually suffered from what she had to endure in Vienna. And she was in a horrible position. I had to raise my mother at the age of 9. She was in a horrible condition. And at this time, the psychiatric was very, very not cultivated, and they didn't know, and she didn't get any medicine, nothing, no treatment. It was very difficult for me in my youth years. I had to suffer all my life.
Did she recover?
No, she didn't recover. Until the end, she didn't recover. Yes, and another point was after the state was erected here, my father lost his source of income because he sold how you call it, איך אומרים, תיק,
Files.
Not files, but
Bags. Attaché cases.
Bags.
banks. He produced banks and exported them to Iraq, and it was a boycott. And he had no job. He was very poor, so he had no money in order to recover his fortune in Vienna. And so the years went by, and in 1950 he turned to me and said that he asked that I give him the money in order that, and I didn't want to give him. I wasn't even 18, and I didn't want to give him. I saved the money, and I visited evening school, and I said I have a very difficult life, and I know if he will come back, and I have a sick mother. But he was so embarrassed and so poor, so I gave him the money. And otherwise, it was very expensive to leave the country with a ship. It cost a lot, like 5,000 shekel like this, and he had no money at all. He was unemployed, you see, he had no money at all. It was a horrible situation. And when he came to Vienna, they said, now you come?
No appetite.
And he had a big difficulty to get back his fortune, yes.
And can I ask, did you ever go back to Vienna?
I came back to Vienna. I even studied, yes.
In Vienna?
Yes, after 2 years, my father returned to Israel, and later on, my parents left to Vienna.
And they lived in Vienna?
Yes. And I joined them a couple of years later. After 3 years, I visited the school here in the university in Jerusalem.
See. So I want to ask you, what message do you give to the future generations? And
it's a very difficult question.
I know.
Because nowadays it's much different than it was then.
But you see what's happening with the world becoming very anti-Semitic. Do you see parallels?
Yes, but I must tell you, there's a big difference. The big difference is the number of Jews in comparison to the whole. and at that time, there were quite a lot of Jews in the world.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there are almost nothing, you see. It's a big difference.
Can I just ask, when we heard and when we realized what Hitler had done,
Yes.
after having met him, did you ever believe that this person could have caused such damage and such destruction?
Yes, I believe that, because what they did in Vienna to my mother and to me. If they have believed that somebody is inside, and since they would have broken in the flat. They were sure nobody is in. I made it like this.
And when you went to see him, you weren't scared to be in front of seeing Hitler? You weren't scared?
The first time, not at all. He was very nice. He was very kind. Once, but it was for half an hour.
For half an hour?
Yes. He held a speech for half an hour.
And you remember it? You remember?
He was very nice. He said, you will have a much better life than nowadays. I'm very kind. I'm very concerned. I know all your troubles. I will improve your situation much, much better.
And the crowd, they cheered him, and
Yes,
he was very popular.
Anti-Semitic. They were very anti-Semitic. Now it's occurring the opposite than occurred then. Then, because Jews were so without any force at all, and now they have super force. The reason for hating them is the opposite than it was then.
It's so true. But I want to thank you so much.
Yes.
It's been such an honor and a privilege to be with you, and to be in your presence. It's really amazing, and I'm so grateful to you.
Thank
and
you.
can you just give us all a blessing?
Blessing?
To all of us, to...
What can I bless? I don't know. I don't know what to bless. I will bless you that the state shall continue to be because there's a question about it.
Please God. Thank you so much, and the Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Mr. Darabah and Koladev. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.